Ever gazed up at the night sky and spotted that brilliant, shining star that isn't quite a star? That's Venus, our planetary neighbor, often called Earth's twin due to its similar size and mass. But what if I told you that surrounding this dazzling planet is a world of extremes, mysteries, and even some surprisingly familiar features? Today, we're taking a deep dive into the cosmic neighborhood of Venus, exploring everything from its suffocating atmosphere to the celestial bodies that share its orbital space. So, buckle up as we journey to the second planet from the Sun and uncover what truly lies around Venus. First and foremost, you can't talk about what's around Venus without discussing its infamous atmosphere. This isn't just a thin layer of gas. It's a thick, crushing blanket of carbon dioxide, about 92 times denser than Earth's own atmosphere. Imagine being over half a mile deep in the ocean that's the kind of pressure you experience on the surface of Venus. This superdense CO2 creates an extreme greenhouse effect, trapping heat and making Venus the hottest planet in our solar system. We're talking surface temperatures, hot enough to melt lead around 465 degrees Celsius or 870 degrees Fahrenheit. Day or night, pole to pole, it's relentlessly scorching. But the atmosphere isn't just a pressure cooker. It's also home to some wild weather. High up, around 50 to 70 kilometers above the surface, are thick clouds of sulfuric acid. Yes, you heard that right, acid clouds. These clouds are so reflective, they're the main reason Venus shines so brightly in our sky. They reflect about 75% of the sunlight that hits them. Within these clouds, winds whip around the planet at incredible speeds, up to 360 kilometers per hour, or about 225 miles per hour. This is a phenomenon called superrotation, where the atmosphere circles the planet much faster than the planet itself rotates. Venus has a very slow, lazy rotation. A day on Venus is actually longer than its year, but its atmosphere completes a full lap in just 4 Earth days. It's a global hurricane that never stops. And while we often think of rain as life-giving water on Venus, it rains sulfuric acid. However, because the surface is so incredibly hot, this acid rain never actually reaches the ground. It evaporates in midair in a process called virga, creating a continuous toxic cycle high up in the clouds. It's a truly alien weather system, completely different from anything we experience here on Earth. Scientists are fascinated by this bizarre environment. In fact, some have even speculated that the upper cloud layers, where temperatures and pressures are more Earth-like, could potentially harbor microscopic acid-resistant life. It's a long shot, but it's an intriguing possibility that keeps us looking closely at Venus's mysterious clouds. Now, let's zoom out a bit from the planet itself. Does Venus have any companions like our Moon? The answer is no. Venus, along with Mercury, are the only 2 planets in our solar system without any natural satellites. For a long time, this was a puzzle for astronomers. Why would Earth have a large moon and Mars have two small ones, while Venus has none? The leading theory today relates to how planets and moons form. Many scientists believe Earth's moon was created from the debris of a massive collision between early Earth and a Mars-sized object. It's possible Venus either avoided such a massive impact, or if it did have one, the resulting moon-forming disk wasn't stable. Another idea is that any early moons of Venus might have been pulled away by the Sun's immense gravity or spiraled back into the planet over billions of years due to its slow backward rotation. So Venus travels through space alone, a solitary world without a lunar companion. But just because Venus has no moons doesn't mean its orbital space is empty. It actually has a quasi-satellite. Beyond this quasi-satellite, what else is floating around Venus? Like all planets, Venus travels through a region of space filled with dust, micrometeoroids, and the occasional larger asteroid or comet. This is the interplanetary medium, the tenuous material that fills the space between planets, primarily originating from the solar wind, constant stream of charged particles flowing from the Sun. When these particles interact with Venus's upper atmosphere, they can create a faint glow similar to the auroras we see on Earth. However, Venus doesn't have a global magnetic field like our planet does. Earth's magnetic field acts like a protective shield, deflecting most of the solar wind. Venus, lacking this shield, has its atmosphere directly battered by these solar particles. This interaction creates what's called an induced magnetosphere, a weaker comet-shaped magnetic bubble that forms around the planet as the solar wind drapes around it. This process is actually stripping away parts of Venus's atmosphere over time, slowly bleeding its gases into space. And of course, there's us. Humanity has been sending robotic explorers to Venus for decades, so the area around the planet is now home to a small collection of artificial objects. The Soviet Union's Venera program was incredibly successful in the 70s and 80s, with several probes entering orbit and even landing on the hostile surface. They sent back the only images we have from the ground on Venus. The United States sent the Magellan orbiter in the 90s, which used radar to map 98% of the planet's surface, piercing through the thick clouds to reveal a world of volcanoes, mountains, and vast plains. More recently, the European Space Agency Venus Express and Japan's Kasky orbiter have studied the planet's atmosphere in great detail, helping us understand its super-rotating winds and complex chemistry. Right now, Kasky is the only active mission orbiting Venus, but more are on the way. NASA has 2 missions planned for the late 2020s and early 2030s, Veritas and Da Vinci, which will give us our most detailed look at Venus yet, both from orbit and by sending a probe plunging through its atmosphere. So, the space around Venus is getting a little more crowded with our own technology, all in the quest to understand our so-called twin In summary, the space around Venus is a place of dramatic contrasts. It's surrounded by a thick, toxic atmosphere that creates a hellish greenhouse effect, with clouds of sulfuric acid and planet-circling super hurricanes. It travels alone without any moons but shares its orbit with a quasi-satellite companion. It's constantly being blasted by the solar wind, which slowly erodes its atmosphere while creating a unique induced magnetosphere. And finally, it's a destination for our own robotic explorers, which continue to orbit and study this fascinating and enigmatic world. Venus might look serene and beautiful from afar, but the environment around it is one of the most extreme and dynamic places in our entire solar system. It serves as a stark reminder of how different planetary evolution can be, and how lucky we are to live on our much more hospitable blue marble. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey to Venus. What part of its crazy environment do you find most fascinating? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this cosmic exploration, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more adventures across the universe. See you next time.